Typical, my sister sneered from the doorway, voice like a smirk. You always make storms out of teacups. My hands tightened around the mug until the ceramic complained. I should have walked away then. I didn't. My dad, an airline pilot, called me. I need to ask you something strange. Your husband, is he home right now? His voice had that steady calm pilots keep for turbulence. Yes, I replied, he's sitting in the living room. His voice dropped to a whisper. That can't be true. Because I'm watching him with another woman right now. They just boarded my flight to Paris. Just then, I heard the door open behind me. Everyone, my name is Maya Sinclair. Say the name out loud if you want to measure how much it can bruise. I repeat it because names are anchors and I needed something to hold on to while the floor tilted under me. The house smelled like lemon cleaner and yesterday's denial. Light from the hallway cut a razor through the kitchen tile. The TV muttered something about weather. It felt obscene. I didn't move at first. People say you freeze in shock, that's generous. I felt more like a slow slide, like gravity had decided to play a new game. My husband's laugh drifted from the living room, warm and ordinary, the kind of laugh you memorize in the small hours. The woman's voice, low, easy, threaded with something my voice never had around him, folded into that laugh. My pulse got precise. My throat learned to be careful. I could picture them, his elbow against hers, casual proximity that becomes a map. I could see the arc of the woman's hand as she tucked hair behind an ear that didn't used to feel like trespass. My dad's whisper over the phone projected a single black dot onto the whole room and it kept growing. I moved because my feet were stubborn. I walked into the living room like a ship making shore, like someone doing a task too familiar to feel. He looked up. He did that small apology smile people think counts as confession. The woman glanced at me, polite, as if we were both props in a play where marriages were costume changes. Who's on the phone? He asked, like a man asking the time. My dad's voice over the speaker was a distant runway announcement. I can see you. I can see you both. There are little lies you forgive without naming them. There are others that turn into weather fronts. This, the door, the passenger whisper, the way the air between us adjusted, felt like landing in a storm you had been warned about but refused to believe. I closed the distance until the couch fabric marked my knees. I let my hands rest in my lap and practiced the art of not making noise. He reached for me, human reflex, and I didn't let him. The woman's perfume, soft, something citrus and smoke, braided itself into my memory like an accusation. Outside, the plane lifted. Inside, the house held its breath. I smiled, and the smile was a small, clear thing that did not belong to me. The door clicked behind me, and then the phone went dead. The silence after my dad's line collapsed into the room like a storm cloud. My husband blinked once, twice, like a man caught under a sudden spotlight. The woman shifted in her seat, crossing her legs with a composure that made my skin prickle. Everything okay? He asked, his voice balancing between casual and defensive. I stared at him, phone still warm in my hand, my father's whisper echoing in my skull. I can see you both. I think, I said slowly, my dad just recognized you on his flight to Paris. That landed like glass shattering across the coffee table. His face drained of color, the blood pulling back as if it too wanted distance from him. The woman's hand twitched on her purse strap. She looked at him first, not me, and that was answer enough. He laughed, the kind of laugh you rehearse in a mirror, too sharp, too hollow. That's crazy, Maya. Your dad must have mistaken someone else. But my father has perfect eyesight. And the way my husband's knee jittered against the carpet betrayed the script he was trying to read from. I glanced toward the front door I'd heard open earlier. Empty. My sister was gone, her mocking line, just an echo. Or maybe she'd left because she knew. The living room blurred at the edges. The walls, pale cream, pulsed like they were breathing. Every family photo on the shelf, my smile, his arm wrapped around me, turned into a lineup of evidence. I wanted to scream, but my throat locked, holding me hostage. Instead, I let the silence stretch until it strangled him. He finally stood, pacing, hands cutting the air. Look, I can explain. No, my voice surprised me. It wasn't a scream. It was a verdict. You don't get to explain. Not tonight. The woman rose too, smoothing her skirt, avoiding my eyes like guilt wears perfume. The sound of a plane overhead throbbed through the ceiling, maybe the same one my dad was piloting. A line connected sky to floor, father to daughter, betrayal to proof. And I sat in the center of it, steady, as if my stillness could burn hotter than their excuses. Twist. In that silence, I realized he wasn't panicking about me. He was panicking about what my father might do next. His pacing turned jagged, like he was trying to outwalk his own lies. He rubbed his temples, muttering half-sentences that never finished, while the woman hovered by the door, purse clutched tight against her ribs like a shield. I sat still, my phone heavy in my hand. I scrolled to check the call log, the duration of my dad's call glaring back at me like undeniable proof. My father had really seen him. My father had spoken the truth. Paris, I whispered, tasting the word like ash. You were supposed to be at work today. Where were you really? He froze mid-step, his jaw tightening until a vein surfaced at his temple. Business, he said finally. You know I travel for meetings sometimes. This is just a misunderstanding. But his voice cracked on misunderstanding. That single crack was louder than any confession. The woman finally spoke, her tone soft but slicing. Maybe I should go. She reached for the handle, but his hand shot out, stopping her. Not for her sake, but his. His eyes darted to me, not with love, not with fear of losing me, but with calculation. He was cornered, and corners make predators desperate. You'll ruin everything, he hissed at her under his breath, but I heard it. I always heard too much. And then I knew, this wasn't just infidelity. It was bigger. The way his voice sharpened when he said everything felt like the tip of an iceberg scraping against my skin. The air between us thickened until I could hear my own heartbeat pressing against my ribs. I wanted to ask who she was, how long, why me. But the truth was heavier than the questions. The truth was already in the room, wearing perfume and silence. I stood finally, slow and deliberate, letting the creak of the floorboards punctuate my decision. His eyes followed me, waiting for a fight, a sob, a collapse. Instead, I leaned in close enough for him to see the steadiness in my pupils. If my dad saw you, I murmured, then it's not just my marriage you've broken. It's your own mask. Twist. His lips parted, ready to respond, but in that pause, my phone buzzed again. It was my father calling back. The vibration in my hand felt like thunder, low and insistent. My husband's eyes locked on the phone as if it were a live grenade. The woman shrank back, pressing her shoulder to the doorframe like she wanted the house to spit her out. I slid my thumb across the screen. Dad. My voice was careful, thin as glass. His breathing crackled through the speaker. Maya, listen to me. He isn't just traveling with her. He booked 2 tickets in first class, under his company card. And my father paused, as though weighing whether to wound me further. He told the crew she's his wife. The room detonated in silence. My husband lunged forward. Hang up. His hand reached toward mine, but I pulled back, the phone close to my chest. That single motion seemed to strip the last layer of control from him. He said you were his wife, I repeated, not to my father, but to the stranger standing across from me. She flinched as if the title itself burned. I didn't know, she whispered, finally cracking the silence. Her voice trembled, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt not about me, but about him. He turned on her instantly, the mask slipping. Don't you dare play innocent. You knew exactly what this was. Their argument spilled out like toxic smoke, filling the room. Words shot between them, lies, promises, future. I stood in the middle, strangely detached, as though watching a play staged for my destruction. I thought about the years I'd defended him. The dinners where I laughed too loud to drown out suspicion. The way I told my friends, he's just stressed from work. And now, with my father's voice still in my ear, I saw the whole performance collapsing. Dad, I whispered into the phone, my throat raw, thank you. I know enough. He hesitated. Maya, come stay with me tonight. Don't stay there. But I didn't answer. I lowered the phone, looked at the 2 people who had turned my home into a stage, and felt something colder than rage. Twist. My husband stopped mid-yell, realizing the woman wasn't arguing back anymore. She was staring at me, guilt flooding her face, as if she knew a secret about him that I didn't yet. Her gaze clung to me, not him. That was the first real betrayal of the night, Not his, but hers. She wasn't defending him anymore. She was pleading with her eyes, like she wanted me to see something buried beneath their affair. What is it? I asked quietly. My husband spun, his voice sharp as glass. Don't, he snapped at her. Don't say a word. That command told me more than her silence ever could. She shook her head, pressing her lips together, trembling. Then she whispered, Maya, he promised me Paris wasn't just a trip. He said, it was the start of our new life. The room tilted. My stomach lurched, but not because of her confession, because she looked terrified when she said it. Terrified of him. I turned to him. A new life. My words were steady, measured, almost too calm. With what money? With what future? His jaw tightened, and for a flash, panic cracked through his expression. Then he forced a laugh. Don't listen to her. She's desperate, she's twisting everything. But desperation didn't look like that. Desperation looked like her clutching her purse as though inside it was the last piece of her identity. And then it hit me. The company card. The way he panicked when Dad called. The constant business trips that never quite added up. This wasn't about love. This was about theft. How much have you taken? I asked. My voice carried the weight of an accusation that couldn't be unsaid. He blinked. The silence that followed wasn't denial. It was calculation. And in that pause, the truth walked into the room without needing an invitation. I felt my chest rise slowly, measured, like I was holding the world steady with my breath. My marriage wasn't just breaking, it had been used, hollowed out, turned into a shell for him to hide inside. Twist. Before he could answer, the woman whispered one more line, her voice trembling, Maya, he bought both tickets with your account. Her words split the air like a blade. Your account. The syllables crawled into my skin and settled there like poison. I stepped closer, my breath tight. What did you just say? The woman's eyes darted to him, then back to me. The receipts. I saw them when he checked in. They weren't his company card, Maya. It had your name, your bank. My phone felt heavier in my hand, as if it knew it was about to become evidence. I opened my banking app with shaking fingers. One swipe, one number, and my entire chest caved. Thousands gone. Transfers I hadn't made. The Paris tickets, sitting bold and cruel in the transaction history. I looked up slowly, the phone glowing between us. His face went slack, but not guilty, annoyed. Like I had stumbled into his script too early. You were never supposed to see that, he muttered. The woman gasped, covering her mouth. For the first time, I saw her clearly, not a lover, but another victim, strung along with promises he purchased using my life. You used me, I said, voice low, steady. My throat burned, but the words held. Not just my trust. My name. My money. He tried to pivot, stepping closer with his practiced smile. Maya, think logically. We're married. It's all our money. I cut him off. No. You made it yours the second you bought her a ticket with my account. The woman's voice broke. He told me he was leaving you. That everything he had was his. I didn't know. Her words dissolved into tears, the kind that sounded like surrender. And him? He laughed. Actually laughed. You think your dad or your bank will care? By the time you figure it out, Paris will already be in my rearview. My blood chilled. That wasn't a threat about love. It was a warning about something bigger, darker. Twist. Then my phone buzzed again, but it wasn't my dad this time. It was an email notification from the bank. Unusual wire transfer attempt flagged, $250,000. The email's subject line glared at me like a siren. Wire transfer attempt, $250,000. My pulse thundered in my ears. My husband's face shifted when he saw the screen, the false charm falling away completely. You weren't supposed to catch that yet, he said, voice low, almost resigned. The woman's hands flew to her mouth. 250,000. She looked at me, then at him, as if realizing she was a pawn in a game she hadn't even known existed. I clutched the phone tighter. How long? My words were calm, but my whole body trembled. How long have you been draining me? He didn't answer. His silence was enough. I felt a hollow ache open in my chest, then something harder slid into place, clarity. Betrayal was no longer just personal. It was financial theft, identity theft, a dismantling of everything I had built. I moved toward the desk drawer, pulled out the folder I kept with account records. My hands flipped through papers until I saw it. Discrepancies, tiny withdrawals over months. A slow bleed leading to this attempt at the kill shot. The woman backed away from him. You said you were successful, that you own the company. He cut her off, eyes flashing. Shut up. But she didn't. Her voice cracked. He told me you were unstable, Maya. That your father was always interfering, that you didn't understand money. He said you were the reason he had to hide things. Every lie he told her was a reflection of the lies he told me. I wanted to collapse under the weight of them, but instead, I stood straighter. You almost had me, I whispered. But you forgot one thing. His eyes narrowed. And what's that? The phone in my hand buzzed again. A text from Dad this time. I've already alerted the airline fraud unit. Stay calm. Don't let him leave. I looked up at my husband, a steady calm cutting through the chaos. You forgot I wasn't alone in this. My father saw you. Twist. The woman, pale and shaking, suddenly whispered, Maya, you're not the first wife he's done this to. Her confession hung in the air, heavier than every lie before it. Not the first wife. My heart clenched, not for him, but for every woman he had turned into collateral damage. I studied his face. He didn't deny it. He didn't even flinch. Instead, he looked almost bored, like the game was already over and I wasn't worth the effort of pretending. That expression, more than anything, freed me. I took a breath and stepped back, my phone still lit with my father's last message. For the first time all night, I felt the weight shift off me. He hadn't just betrayed me. He'd exposed himself. You'll never touch another dollar of mine again, I said, steady. Because right now, my dad is filing the report, and the bank is freezing every account with my name on it. His jaw locked, but his silence was louder than any threat. The woman finally moved, setting her purse down like it was poisoned. I'm done too, she whispered. She didn't look at him again. She only looked at me, her eyes glassy with a strange mix of guilt and gratitude. Then she slipped out the door, leaving him to stand alone in the wreckage of his lies. The house seemed to exhale with her exit. The TV still murmured in the background, but I didn't hear it anymore. All I heard was the beating of my own heart, steady, certain. I turned toward the window where the night pressed against the glass. Planes roared somewhere far above, and I thought of my dad, guiding one safely through the storm. I thought of how he had seen the truth before I was ready to. And I thought of myself, standing now, unbroken, even after everything. My husband opened his mouth, but I lifted a hand. Save it. Whatever you were going to say, I don't need to hear. I walked past him, each step deliberate, carrying me out of the ruins and into something cleaner. The betrayal was real. But so was the freedom that followed.